Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It is 2 for day. Octa will come later today. Now we're going to talk about exactly what's going on in the Bitcoin world. And also, Bitcoin Daily has expanded into proxies, Bitcoin miners, MicroStrategy, CleanSpark, Semler, you name it. A lot going on in that area. We're going to talk about exactly what's going on now. Now, I don't know if it's what they call a summer slump. And by the way, thank you, Anderson W., and for the mods being here in the chat. We had a perfect setup. Everybody was expecting, I think Joe Consorti was expecting float to $80,000. We've been playing with this critical short-term holder realized price support now for quite some time. It's currently, depending on two different measures, it's between about 63,600 and about 65,000. Currently, as we speak, Bitcoin's at 64,600. So still bonking around right there, but we didn't get that break out above 70K. We'll explain what's going on, because it's pretty easy to decipher. A lot of data. We'll put it all together, build a tapestry, and give you the answer. So we'll go talk about liquidations, miners dumping, the MicroStrategy strategy working, a whole bunch of charts, and let's go. And thank you all for coming. And this is not financial advice. Let's first of all thank everybody on Patreon that make all this possible every day. Bit Buyer, new to Patreon and grateful for all of your wisdom and knowledge. James and team, thank you so much for being part of it. Let's check out where we are right now. Bitcoin monthly returns for the month of June, down 4.1%. After a great May, 11.5%. We're still up from the whole sell in May. But remember, summers are quiet. And I've been talking about mid-July being that sideways chop until that time frame. That's 90 days after the halving. The miners will have capitulated by then. We'll talk about that too in a minute. And then it should be clear skies, perhaps, if history repeats. But we know it's a little bit different this time around. Let's talk about some of the news. First of all, nearly $500 million was liquidated in the last 24 hours. $420 million from Bitcoin long positions. And most of these liquidations happen on Binance, OKX, and HDX, which is Wobi. Big. A lot of people lost a lot of money. We're not expecting it to go so low. But remember, if you trade perps or leverage longs or shorts or whatever, make sure you have lots of margin. My rule of thumb is 30 to 40% to the downside, because I don't want to lose money. There's two ways you make money in the world. One, you don't lose it first. The other way is obvious. So let's talk about CleanSpark too. CleanSpark announced the acquisition of 5 new Bitcoin mining sites in Georgia, equivalent to 60 megawatt hours of infrastructure. And this purchase is expected to close immediately and increase CleanSpark's hash rate by 3.7 exahash upon full installation of the already purchased S21 miners. Last time I checked, CleanSpark had over 18 exahash, so adding another 4 will take it to 22. They said they'd be above 20 by middle of the summer. We have a couple of weeks left. So these guys really, what's impressive about CleanSpark is what they say they will do, they do. Execution is a big part of it. There are other miners that talk a big game, but they don't deliver. There are also other cryptos that talk a big game, but don't deliver. So remember, watch for track records. Super important. Speaking of miners too, the majority of miners are dumping hard. Bitfarms, Bitdeer, Iris, SLNH, Wolf, Core Scientific, Gryphon, Sato, DMGI. Some of them are dumping more than they actually have. Marathon, 63% is what they sold. Hive, 38%. BTBT, 27%. And CleanSpark are hodling the most at only 0.5%. Riot, 1.4%. Remember, CleanSpark during the bear were also the first to dump. They didn't do any hodl during the bear market. They were dumping. Now in the bull, they've pivoted. And that strategy makes more sense. During the bear market, when things are flat for a year, there's no point in holding. You get rid of it. But when we know there is potential of big upside, to hold on as long as you possibly can. But this shows you the whole miner capitulation, which is also impacting Bitcoin price. People are saying, oh, why is Bitcoin at 65,000? I want 100,000. Well, there is part of the answer, but there's more. But we're going to talk about MicroStrategy for a minute too. Dylan Leclerc, and I think it's B's, BTC. Hope I got that right. They put together this beautiful chart, which I try to talk to a lot, but I always believe a picture tells 1,000 words, and they put it together so eloquently with graphics. And this is the Bitcoin strategy reminder. First of all, MicroStrategy issues debt to buy Bitcoin. Okay. Number 2, Bitcoin increases because they bought it, and MicroStrategy market cap increases. Number 3, market cap increases, the weight in indices increases, meaning people have to buy more MicroStrategy. And MicroStrategy issues equity to buy Bitcoin because the stock price is up, and therefore Bitcoin price increases, MicroStrategy cap increases, weight in indices increases, and then MicroStrategy issues more equity to buy Bitcoin, and wash, rinse, repeat. This is the infinite money glitch that has worked so well for MicroStrategy. And people still think, well, it's not really measured to net asset value. What's going on? Maybe I should go short it. If you know anything about how stocks are valued, that's not how it works. It's based on future value. So, a beautiful chart. Thank you to Dylan and BTC. Oh, I got that right. Moto89, thank you for coming. Now, what's really exciting too is this MicroStrategy infinite money glitch is now being adopted by companies all over the world. This one is Semler. Now, I did a trade alert on this. I think it was $21 when it first launched, and it shot up. And despite Bitcoin being in a down market, Semler went up 64% since they announced in May. And that shows you what this money glitch is like. And it's not just Semler in Santa Clara that are doing this. Metaplanet is doing it as well in Japan. And I haven't checked their stock. I don't watch it on the Japanese stock market, but I will next time and see exactly how it's doing. But I bet you it's doing very well too, especially when you have Japan with their yen, which is really a very fast melting ice cube. I think last I checked, it was 156 yen to the dollar. Way back in the day, I did a lot of my trading around the 100 yen to the dollar mark. So it's depreciated a lot over the last 30 years. Now, let's talk about Vivek. This is a funny one too. He pulls up this great history from the past. This is from May 29th, 2011, from Unwrinkle Your Soul, man. Tippin EIN. I don't even care about profit in Bitcoin. I just want to see the government and banks piss themselves. I saw a recent banking statement from somebody. They had like 9,000 in a checking account which they were earning nothing on. And the bank was charging them $25 a month to hold their money. And if they do anything like buy checks or whatever, they got to pay extra. It was just, we all look forward to the day when we can unbank ourselves. So anyway, let's talk about a whole bunch of charts, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you all for being here. Breaking news. This is the price compression. This is from Crypto Quant. And if you look at the activity here, look at the top line and look at the bottom line and look how this is actually compressing. It's kind of similar to a very crude Bollinger Band, but something has to break here. And the compression is really looking very, very tight, the tightest we've seen it since Feb of this year. And this is an hourly chart, by the way. Now, if the bears can increase their selling activity, they could break us down below short-term holder realized price. We are in a fragile state right now. And again, despite what was so-called perfect setup, there's too many headwinds right now. Summer, miners selling, ETF selling, Grayscale bleeding out, all over the hedge fund carry trade. All these things are really impacting exactly what's going on. But, you know, we have a big tailwind this week, and that is, let me see, this guy is going to buy $700 million worth of Bitcoin. That should definitely inflate the price. And that should keep us above this short-term holder realized price. We'll see. Now, let's talk about the bears and how they are dominating for now. This is from Alex Adler. It is clear that bears are dominating, but they need to increase the pressure to drop the price even lower. But do they have any more pressure to increase? And again, the short liquidity can be used to form a new form of bullish trend. And that is, if too many are short and anything changes fast, they get squeezed and the price will rocket really quick. That's just how markets work. The markets are kind of like everything in the world. It's a big pendulum, hard short, hard right, hard short, hard right. It's never a steady state in the middle. Never, never. And that's the beauty of markets. That's how you make money, by the way. And now, this is another critical chart. This is the short-term holder realized price. I've been talking a lot about this over the last 3 months, and it's now, according to this chart, circa 63,823 at the time of writing. And should Bitcoin break down below 64K and below this short-term holder realized price, it could mark the start of a multi-week mini downtrend like we saw in September 2019 and in July 2021. This is kind of like a mid-bull market correction, and it's slightly bigger than usual. But however, we've had our dip to 60K already, so we may have had that correction. We should also note that a sustained break below the short-term holder realized price, as much as we hate to say it, could mark the start of a bear. Is it the start of a bear? Oh no, it's not. Global liquidity is rising. I am 98% sure it is not the start of a bear market. So again, hold tight and watch that 63,823 level. And again, we can wick below it a little bit, but you don't want to be below it in a sustained manner. That's a bad omen for a few weeks. Now, another view of this is from CryptoQuant again. Again, they refer to it as the critical price juncture. Again, near the average purchase price for short-term holders. That's the pink line there. We have been beneath it, but again, not for an extended period of time. And if we do breach it, it could drop the price again back down another 8% or so, which would take us to 60K, where we've been to before. And for me, I'm a buyer at 60K, so I would not mind at all a little dipperoonie down to that zone, because I do believe we have a long way to go in this bull market. Now, again, I'm just a guy on the internet. I could be completely wrong, but I like to base things on probabilities, not hope. Now, Alex is back again. The funding rates, which we've also been talking a lot about recently, the dominance of the bulls in the futures market indicated by the funding rate has decreased from a level of 0.177 when we were at 71,100. Interesting matching numbers. 2.008, which is now at 65K, 65.5. And the number of bulls and bears in the market is equal. And the momentum, however, is not in favor of the bulls right now. The momentum is still in favor of the bears because of all the confluence of events like selling across ETFs, and which we'll talk about in a minute, and Grayscale and others. Let's look at these ETFs actually real quick. So far, as of June 17th, the total net flows were 2,210 Bitcoin out. Bitwise had some positive inflows. Fidelity had a bit of a dump, a big dump actually, 92 million. But the US ETFs still hold above 873,000 Bitcoin, which is a big bag. And if we look at the big holders, the big three, which are BlackRock, Fidelity, and ARK, or is it BITB? I can't remember. I should know this. But anyway, I don't know what this chart represents from Joe Consorti. But the point is, the big three own nearly 500,000 Bitcoin right now. And they are the ones that actually matter. Let me see. BlackRock is in white, Fidelity is in blue. And this is all excluding Grayscale, of course. And these fellows own a very, very large bags. But if you look at the action over the past, say, 3 months, not a lot has happened. We had some big inflows some days. We had a new record 19 days of positive inflows. But over the last 6 days, 5 days were negative. We'll break that down in a minute. Also, this was the perfect setup, again, from Joe Consorti. This 70,000 level is a hard piece of glass to break. I spoke about tapping that glass, and we tapped it a whole bunch of times, I think in total 7 or 9 times. But we're not able to get through it. And we do have that downward descending kind of channel. We're now at that 65K level. But also, again, as I zoomed up before, and I showed you the chart the other day, post-halving, we are nearly 60 days in. Actually, maybe a little bit more. We've got about 25 to 30 days to go to the middle of July. That is typically 90 days after the halving, and then things happen. But because what happens over the first 90 days after the halving is the miners capitulate, cause a lot of sell pressure. Grayscale capitulating, cause a lot of sell pressure galore, and this is impacting things. But we need a couple of new catalysts, new money coming in, whether it's from ETFs or Semler, etc., to really help things going. And we also need the miners to stop selling as well, and then we will break through the 70K glass again. But in the meantime, we're still between the 70 and the 60K, which is the floor for this zone. So in the meantime, we could be chopping sideways a little bit. Bitcoin Only Playlist is here. And again, Bitcoin Only Playlist includes now proxies because you all demanded it. You want to hear more about the miners. You want to hear more about MicroStrategy and Semlers and the Metaplanets and all these new institutional treasury type shops. Let's talk about the Bitcoin black hole. Day 109 in these ETFs. I started to leave out the blank to show where there's no action here, but we had a big dump, 92 million out of Fidelity. BlackRock flat. BITB up 2.9. ARK down 50. And the Grayscale dump was not too bad at all. Let's look at what this looks like. Again, quiet period, summer doldrums, not a lot of action, although we had great action. Day 99, day 100, day 101, day 102. We had that 19-day record, which is reflected here. All that blue above the line, but now 5 of the last 6 days were negative, but pretty consistently negative. Nothing too much to worry about. There is some short-term profit taking. There's some people maybe rotating into other assets, etc. Yesterday, 2,195 Bitcoin were added to the system. Again, that is 4x, 5x, nearly daily issuance. That's not good. A lot of these are coming from the miners that we showed right above here. Ton of selling done by these miners, so don't forget that, which is causing a bit of a headwind. But again, it's natural in the first 90 days after the halving. And finally, Grayscale. Not the big dumper today compared to Fidelity and others. So again, the bleed continues, but it's, it was bad a few days ago. It's kind of slowing down a bit. This thing will eventually be gone. The miners will stop selling, and then it's off to the races, I believe. Also based on all the data I just shared too. So hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you back in about 3 or 4 hours and with Okta. Thanks all for coming, and hope you enjoyed the show. Bye-bye.